Do you remember the first Ant-Man movie? It was one of the first movies that really laid down the foundation for the MCU all the way back in phase 2. The year is 2015, Age of Ultron just came out, and even though it was an awesome cinematic experience, it didn't quite meet up to the standards set by the first Avengers movie. The third Captain America movie was on the way, and at this point, we all still believed the title was going to be Serpent Society. Ah yes, when the Marvel bait and switch was actually used to honor the fans instead of just insulting them. After taking out the two heaviest hitters for obvious reasons and rounding up the remaining heroes and their sidekicks, Kevin Feige still needs some new faces to beef up the teams for Captain America Civil War. So he decides to introduce Spider-Man, Ant-Man and Black Panther into the movie. With Ant-Man being the least popular of the new characters, good old Kevin decides to give him an origin movie right before Civil War comes out to familiarize him with general audiences, and so the first Ant-Man movie was born. This movie holds a very special place in my heart because it was the first film I ever saw on the big screen with my friends, and I pretty much haven't missed a single MCU movie at the cinema since then. In my previous Ant-Man video, I speculated that Hank Pym will more or less be a glorified background character in the movie, which is sad to think about now that I see and remember how he started out in the MCU. My guy was a tough, no-nonsense scientist that didn't take disrespect from anybody. A super spider went on all sorts of cool covert missions for S.H.I.E.L.D., rubbed shoulders with the likes of Howard Stark and major S.H.I.E.L.D. executives, then eventually left S.H.I.E.L.D. behind to become the CEO of his own tech company. This man was literally one of the original gangsters of the MCU, and now he has been reduced to an obscure old man in the background wearing a hoodie. Such levels of character deterioration could make an old man cry. The movie stars Scott Lang, a down-on-his-luck technician and criminal with a heart of gold.
I hate violence.
He's got a daughter that he wants to take care of and spend time with, so he needs to get a job. A task that proves to be especially difficult because he just got out of serving a 3-year prison sentence for armed robbery.
I hate violence. I burgled them.
Sorry, I mean burglary. After being rejected by regular employers, he ends up going back to his life of crime for one last job, and his new target just so happens to be Hank Pym, an ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agent and scientist, former CEO and creator of the Pym particle, some sort of red juice that allows you to go really small when you want to. But apparently, Hank sets up the entire robbery as a way to test and recruit Scott for a mission to save the world. What I really like about this movie, besides all the cool shrinking action scenes, are the characters and the theme of family. The movie is all about redemption, second chances, and family dynamics. The dynamic between Scott and Hank both wanting to use their second chances to protect their daughters, Hope wanting to live up to her father's legacy, honor her dead mother, and prove herself by using the suit to stop the generic evil bald bad guy, but Hank not wanting her to because he already lost his wife in the exact same suit his daughter now wants to wear. Even Hope and the evil bald bad guy share a similar dynamic of both wanting to get back at Hank in some way for personal reasons. After rewatching the first Ant-Man movie, I can now sympathize with Scott's decision to trust Kang to give him more time with Cassie in the third movie that's yet to come out because he already spent 3 years away from his daughter during her childhood while he was in prison, and now he has lost an extra 5 years of her formative teenage years because of the snap. It's very unfortunate that Wanda just went through a very similar situation that was handled very poorly in 2 separate projects and left a very bad taste in our mouths. I honestly can't believe how good this movie is more than 5 years later. It has more character work and meaningful character moments in the first 30 minutes than most of the Marvel projects we've gotten since Endgame was released. As that 20 minutes into the film, you know the motivation of the protagonist, his antagonist, and the supporting characters. So at this point, you're just involuntarily invested in these characters while also being entertained by perfectly written jokes and cool action scenes. Looking back at where Scott started and seeing how proficiently skilled he was as an electrical engineer, and then comparing him to the dumb, clumsy version of him we have now that has essentially been reduced to comedic relief for the audience, is just an objectively sad thing to think about. The entire movie is just a testament to how great the MCU was when they really had to work hard to get audiences invested in these new characters. It is very funny without putting any particular character down or taking away from the seriousness of the film, dramatic and heartfelt when it needs to be, and just thinking about the final fight when Scott risked his life by going subatomic just to save his daughter makes me feel so warm on the inside. It's a truly well-made origin story that brings you into the world of the hero without force-feeding you back-to-back exposition. The story of how Hope's mother died was delivered at such a perfect moment in the middle of so much drama and tension that it literally made me tear up. For all the praises I give this movie, the one thing I don't understand about it is why exactly Scott is doing the mission. I mean, I get that he's a good guy with a heart of gold,
I hate violence.
and this is his chance to become the hero his daughter already thinks he is, and that Hank can't wear the suit for health reasons. I get all of that, but how exactly is any of that Scott's problem? Either let your daughter wear the suit or find somebody else, bro. Scott's main problem right now is is a stable source of income so he can pay child support and see his daughter again. Last I checked, there's no reward for saving the world, and Hank definitely didn't promise Scott any monetary compensation for doing the mission. I get that if he doesn't stop the evil bald bad guy, the world will be a more dangerous place for his daughter to live in, so child support won't exactly really matter anymore. But as I said, just get somebody else, bro. Besides all of that, the movie is great, really. There's not a lot of bad things you can see about a movie that made you care about a flying ant. It gets even better when you realize that the movie intentionally made Scott say Anthony's name multiple times during the third act so that the blow of his death would hit way harder when it happened. W movie, W Scott, W old Disney, W old Marvel. I would like to hope that the third one turns out to be as good as this one, but I have a lot of reasons to believe the exact opposite. Click right here to see why I think Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania will be a very bad movie and quite possibly the worst one in the trilogy.